All right, guys, welcome back to the Fed Show. This will
Hey.
be the official second episode that gets uploaded, and today we got Godbold in studio, aka the living room.
Right.
And well, do start off like let's just. Have you ever done a podcast before?
No. Yes.
Yes?
I
Okay.
did DJ Kane's podcast before.
Okay.
So yeah.
I was just curious. I was like, I don't know. Dude, there's so many podcasts now
Mm-hmm.
and shows and whatever people want to call them. And I was just wondering, I was like, I wonder if he's ever done one. So I just wanted to ask that.
Yeah.
But just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. Godbold, aka Kevin, not Kev, because I hate that shit. Yeah, I'm an artist. I sing, write, rap every once in a while because for some reason I think I'm good at it. I just genuinely enjoy the process of creating, and I love being around other creatives. This guy's a creative. He's got a crazy mind that I'm glad he's tapping into right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, just that's it.
All right, man. And we'll just talk about it right now. So you got a show coming up.
Yeah, I actually get to do the Main Street Arts Festival. I'm on the 7th Street stage this Saturday. Got an hour and a half block from 3 to 4:30. Really excited and like honored to be able to do this. It's a pretty big platform. There could be upwards of 10,000-20,000 people crossing through at that time. It's the middle day of the actual event because it's the 20th through the 23rd. And it's just gonna be a lot of high traffic, so there's a lot of folks walking by. They're gonna be able to, come vibe with this.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm looking forward to it, bro.
That's real good exposure. Just being there, out and about. You never know who's going to be in the crowd.
Hell yeah!
I'll be in the crowd. I'll be there that day.
Right. So I know at least one person.
Yeah, I'll be there with my 3 kids. We're gonna go do some arts and crafts and look around, and then we'll be there at 3:00.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here we'll get into it because you're one of the first people that when I talked about doing this and I made mention of it, you were like, oh yeah, and he hit me with like 7 ideas, and I was like, all right, man, well, let's just like pick 2 of them. So the first one that I was like, this is the one we need to talk about. This was one that hits me close to home because of the shit that I've been through. But men's health and social constructs that prevent us from seeking the help we need and deserve.
Man.
And need and deserve, those are 2 like heavy words for me because I know that we need it. I know that I need someone to talk to. I've been through therapy. I've been in counseling. When I was married, I did marriage counseling. I've done one-on-one stuff when I was predominantly in the church. So like all those venues, and none of them really worked for me.
Yeah.
The way that I felt like they could have. But then sometimes with counselors, things I did, I was just trying to get through a program too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the biggest issues that I'm gonna say I'm okay so I can get out of it. And what do you think, man? I mean, it's a heavy topic.
That's man, you threw out so many variables to the entirety of that sentiment. Talking about counseling, therapy, marriage counseling, being able to do it through church or do it on your own through a non-church entity. Like all of those are so many heavy layers to everything, which is a crazy concept because like just backing up as dudes, we like, and then to take it a step further as dudes of color.
Yeah, man.
Like you want to throw that layer in there?
Yeah.
We're not brought up with that shit. Like
No
one comes to us and says, hey, here's counseling that I did. Like my cousins around my age, my siblings, my father, my grandfather, none of those dudes were into, doing therapy. It's like, I'm not going to sit around and let some dude tell me about my problems and how to fix them.
Exactly.
Like, you can't have that connotation. So then you go through this process of like, all right, let me break the stigma because I know I need to do something different.
Yeah.
I know I need to talk to somebody because just harboring this isn't making it any better. And then you start going down these avenues that you're talking about.
Yeah, and I feel like the most help I've ever gotten is, honestly, I'll shout out Kai Woods right now. Through his music, it let me know.
What's up, Kai?
I mean, Kai really let me, like, just listen to his music, right? Him for coming from the heart, a lot of it really, like, resonated with me. And then
Yeah, man.
me and Kai became friends, and he talking with him and stuff, and I'll give him some of my issues, and he'll be like, "Nah, bro, it shouldn't be like that.
Right.
It should be like this. It should be like this. It should be like this." All right, and it, but the thing is, like, sometimes we want a complicated answer.
Right.
We want to hear, "Oh well, okay, I'll go into some of my stuff. Oh well, you and your spouse aren't working out. You want to go through their phone, or they want to go through your phone." And like, if you're at that point where you feel like you need to go through their phone or they need to go through your phone, there's no trust.
Right.
And you say you love someone, but do you really love them, or do you love the concept of what y'all are in?
Right. Are you comfortable? Are you familiar?
Yeah, you just kind of happy to be there.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that it's like talking to a friend that genuinely cares. I feel like goes further in my mind than when I'm paying somebody $200 an hour so they can dissect my problems.
Damn, man, you were getting reamed.
That was through a church too. I'm not trying to call. I won't name any names. Let me check this view real quick. Oh yeah, you're still there.
Oh, I didn't
know. You're good. I just didn't know how much that chair could lean back and if you could cut out of the frame.
Yeah.
But yeah, learning as we go with cutting and editing and video and lighting.
Good.
But yeah, man. I did meet some really good counselors through the church. There was a free program at a church that I attended, and one of the concepts that they talked about, and it really does ring true if you're in that Christian lifestyle or if you're in any religious lifestyle, and regardless of the religion, is your focal point being the higher power, God.
Right.
However you dissect that and you believe. But it's a pyramid or a triangle. And you and your spouse are the bottom ends. And the closer you are to God, the closer you will be together.
Right.
And that construct has I've never seen anyone break it. Like, if you were both, like, solid focused in, and I mean, I would take it further and not just say just God, but if you had like a common goal in mind, like, you're trying to buy a house. Y'all are both going to be on the same page if you both want the same goal.
Right.
If you want a happy marriage, if you both put focus and put time in and put effort in and decide this is what we want, this is what we're going to get. Like, I feel like that's the best way, just to be on the same page.
Agreed.
But as a man, we don't always say exactly what we mean or what we say, or it just kind of gets caught up because we like to hide emotions and hide feelings. And
now you're jumping into a different topic. Communication, man.
Yeah,
communication is hard. It's really hard because we're also not taught to be vulnerable. You know?
And I think that's one of the things. Like, if going through counseling, like I said, I just push through.
Yeah.
I know what you want me to say.
Yeah.
It's real easy. I know exactly what
you wanted to check a box.
Yeah.
To get out of there. Yep.
And the sooner I'm done with this, the sooner I can get out of here. But I think that's where, I don't know how we break that stigma, that ideology as men, to say, okay, I need to talk to somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about daily life and stressors that we go through. I'm not talking about real stuff like, I mean, like you struggling with depression and stuff. Like, there's men that won't talk about finances.
Right.
If we're struggling with money, no, we can't do that this weekend. That's it. That's the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
There's really not money for that right now. We'll plan on it next weekend, and we'll move some things around, try to get it figured out how we can make that happen.
It's ego.
Yeah.
It's ego. If we let anyone see a chink in the armor,
yeah,
then we feel like someone's gonna have an upper hand on us. So it's all a competition.
Yeah.
You know, and that's unhealthy. And I think that's exactly why we don't do some of the things that we need to do. So when it comes down to the initial topic of just, you know, what we need and deserve, we need a safe space. We deserve a safe space.
Yeah.
We deserve to be able to cultivate that within our own community of our people, you know.
Yeah.
Being able to sit here and have a conversation with you, like, that's therapeutic.
Yeah.
To be able to talk through any issues that arise, to be able to just say, like, yeah, man, like, I'm not okay all the time.
Yeah.
Last week was a really hard week for me.
Yeah.
I cried last week type vibe, you know? Like, being able to sit and have that conversation and just know that regardless, it doesn't change how someone views you. And if it does, then they're not the right person for you to be fucking with anyway.
Exactly.
So,
like wanting everyone around you to be okay that really means you got to be available to make sure that they're okay.
Yep. Oh, emotional availability.
Well, I will also give you a big shout out because in the conversation of you coming on, I told you about my situation, and you said, "Hey, man, we're not just Instagram friends.
Right.
Like, if you need something, let's talk."
Yeah, bro.
And I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot of people that reached out because I'm still being open with it.
Right.
A lot of people reached out, like, "Hey, man." Some people I talked to afterwards are like, "I tried to tell you a couple of times before in the past," and I mean, you can't tell anybody something when they're drunk,
right?
Because, nah, bro, you know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm good. I'm having a great time.
You're a superhero when you're drunk, man.
Exactly. And sometimes the conversation just doesn't have a chance to come up.
Absolutely.
So, like, it meant a lot when you were like, "We're not just Instagram friends." I'm like, "Bro, we're not just Instagram friends?" Yes. I was like, yes. So excited. I'm glad. I'm glad that we're not just Instagram friends.
Yeah, man. I'm all about community and finding a tribe, and you never know where or how you're going to find that. Yeah. And if you don't open yourself up to, be available to give and receive,
right,
then you never know who your real people are,
And I feel like a lot of people are take.
Absolutely.
And
we live in a world of instant, man.
Yeah.
Instant gratification.
Where can this connection get me? Who does this person know that I want to know? How do I get to know that person through this person? And it's like, maybe just get to know the person.
Right.
It's rather to have someone solid next to you than someone you look up to, and maybe you got a text message from them and they don't even know who you are.
Right. 100%. I can tell you a story centered around that relating to music for me. I've only been doing this for about 3 years. Obviously been singing forever because, it's just a talent that I've had. But I started taking it seriously about 3 years ago. And I cultivated relationships with people that I had no idea really what they were into. I just knew, I met you. And, okay, you told me about this studio, so I'm going to go to this studio. And then I meet Chico. Mm-hmm. And then Chico's like, "Hey, I got this buddy of mine who raps. What's up, Lou?" And then I end up becoming friends with these folks who put me on with conversations with people like Tom Martins, who is over here Fort Worth. And, then things just start happening from there. Being able to do things like the Juneteenth parade, being able to do things like this upcoming weekend with the Main Street Arts Festival, and just a lot of things from literally, genuinely just being a normal ass person and cultivating friendships with people.
Right.
And not worried about what's in it for me, what this person can bring to the table, anything along those lines. Like, I don't care, man. I can handle anything that I need to on my own. I don't have management. I don't have any of that stuff. Everything that I've done has been on the strength of me building relationships with people just because I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And I meet good people. And I don't look for them to do anything other than be themselves.
Yeah.
So that's why when I said that to you, I'm just like...
I mean, it was genuine, and I was like, dang. It went a long way.
Because you've always, every time I've seen you, you've always been solid. You've always been consistent. You've always shown the same amount of love and everything is just "What's up, bro? How you doing? Yeah, I fucks with you." That means more to me than somebody just coming up to me and being like, "Oh, I'm a fan of the music," yada yada yada. Yeah. I'd rather you be cool with me.
I don't think I have a picture with you.
See,
I don't even think that we do, and I stopped.
Now you about to have a whole video.
I know, because I got a picture with Lou one time, and I got a picture with Kai.
Yeah,
but that was early on.
Yeah,
and then I think there's a picture of all three of us that I jumped in there because I was like, I gotta get in the picture on this one. But besides that, that's that there's some rappers. I ain't gonna name names, but some guys that have been in the industry for a long time and their careers have kind of. They're just doing small house shows,
right?
Keep the bills paid, get some money going. And I'm not talking down on that at all, because if you can show up and make a couple of grand in a night, do your thing, bro.
That's
easy
money.
I got some pictures with some guys like that, old school guys, and I mean, back in the day, I couldn't afford to get to some of those shows.
Right.
I wasn't old enough for some of them, and now it's hey, I got to meet that dude. Cool. And then other people are like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "Oh."
You had to be there.
Listening to what I listened to, so
yeah, man.
But yeah, that whole I meeting people your buddy John.
Yeah,
I was at the Down and Out, and he walked in. He's like, "Ah, you work for Kai Woods?" I'm like, "No, I don't work for Kai. I just that's just my friend."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, I kind of thought you worked for him. You promoting his stuff all the time." That's just my guy.
Right.
And he was like, "Oh, I know Godbold." I was like, "Oh, that's cool, man. I was wondering why you followed me on Instagram. And then we had met at Lollapalooza.
Yep.
I had met him in line at the bar, and I was like, man, he remembered me from way back then.
He's hard to miss too. So
Yeah.
it's like if you see him, you know exactly who he is.
And we got to chatting there, and we were hanging out, and he bought me a couple drinks, and I was like, well, that was cool, man. Just meeting people in the community that know people in the community, and we weren't trying to put a show together. We weren't trying to, you should. We weren't even talking about music. We were talking about TV shows we watch, things that we like to go do, different places, restaurants. It was just like, hey man, I genuinely met somebody tonight that was just pretty cool, just to hang out with. And
it's awesome, man. That's what it's about. Being able to just have organic interactions with people, with no pretenses, no, you're not looking for anything. You just like, oh, this was cool. This was spontaneous, and it was an opportunity for me to just chop it up with somebody.
Yeah.
And you got some drinks out of the ordeal. You had a genuine conversation with somebody, and now it's like
conversation is the biggest thing, because there's so many people that, like you said, like, oh, I like the music, or oh, I like this. Like, I met some people that, oh man, I listen to your podcast. I was like, yeah, man, that's cool. Like, that's what it's there for. Like, for y'all to listen to. Like, I'm not trying to get where I'm like, oh man, I walk into a room and everyone knows my name. I really don't care about any of that.
Right, bro.
And like there's so many podcasts here in Fort Worth. It's a cult, bro. It's a clan. There's a gang of them, and all genuine, real good people. You meet them out in public. Hung out with a couple of different podcasters. Shout out to Johnny from the Rap Podcast, because he was like, bro, you need to be on all platforms. This is how you do it. And like, he just straight up told me.
Yep.
And then shout out to Dennis the Menace from the Juice Podcast.
Gave you the game.
He was like, oh yeah, man, don't waste your time buying this MacBook. Don't waste your time doing this. Try to streamline it like this, and just different little things. And it's like, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And meeting people that genuinely like, I want to see you make it, rather than people that are like competing.
Right.
And that's one thing that I do love about the podcast scene in Fort Worth, that everybody does show love back and forth, and with the artists too.
Yeah.
Like, you don't realize how intertied all the artists are until you show up to like 4 or 5 shows, and it's like, dude, half of the artists in Fort Worth are probably at every 5 shows. If you go to every 5 shows, you have a chance to meet someone that does music here in Fort Worth, whether it be rock, rap, anything.
Yeah.
People pop, like the Here Fort Worth events that they do.
So
you
cool.
can go out, and that's the last time I saw Lou in person. I pulled up, and it was raining. We were at the Post. And we were soaked. We were standing outside by the bar. But Lou Charles was there, Brewed Up Joe was there, Sessions, he was there, Ernie was there, and it was just like, dang, like everybody's just kind of here in the room. Blake LaBella was in there, and Goldsby was there, and I was like, dang. Like,
and it's just regular people.
We're just regular people hanging out. Everyone's like, hey, what's going on? Hey, and we just grab a couple of drinks. I'm drinking the water now, guys. I'm sober as fuck, for sure.
Salute to you for that, man. It's a big step.
It's like 33 days now.
It's fire.
I quit Cokes and Monsters too.
So now you just sound like a glutton for punishment.
I think, well, the coffee's helping. I've been drinking coffee, and it's like 7:30 or something right now.
It's gotta have some kind of vice. At least it's coffee.
Yeah, well, I got nicotine too, but I'll be at the gym later tonight though. Need to work on some of this.
Hey man, you never know what chicks are into nowadays.
No, I this is one thing, because I just feel like there's an unreleased podcast that me and my cousin recorded, and I don't think I'm going to release it, but we talked about our husky boy status when we were younger, and it's a big self-confidence thing now.
For sure.
Like, I project self-confidence very well, but sometimes, like, I think that's one thing, like, I don't talk about it very often. It's like, I grew up, like, not fat, but not skinny, and not almost skinny, just like that in-between weird stage.
Yeah.
And I love McDonald's. Like, right now, I can eat like 40 chicken nuggets and a double quarter pounder, and like no one won't faze me. Like, hey, let's go do something, guys. And
you're definitely preaching to the choir, man. I went through that same thing, and also I was a late bloomer. Like, all my friends like were getting facial hair and all that kind of stuff or whatever, and I literally looked like a little girl all the way up until like my sophomore year of high school. So,
hey man, and when I think I was like 5'6" in like 8th grade, and I thought I was tall. And then from 8th grade to 9th grade, I had my growth spurt. So I was like 6 foot. And then I'm at like 6'1.5", 6'2" now. But like there was that weird stage. Like I was just kind of getting, like I wasn't getting wider, but I was just kind of staying the same.
Yeah.
And then like instantly just shot up, and then never really thought about it again because it kind of just stretched. So it was like, whatever.
Right, I'll be all right.
And then did weightlifting and stuff in high school, no big deal. But then as time's gone on, I was like 306. And I'm like, I never wanted to break that 300 mark. I never wanted to be there. So.
Sound like me. I was like, I never wanted to be 200 pounds. But now that I'm like fluctuating and hovering around that, I'm like, nah, I like being this size. I want to be able to push people around if I need to.
Yeah. Yeah, that comes in handy for sure. But. Yeah, man. So that's one of my big things. I still struggle with is like self-confidence and
Yep.
the way that I look sometimes.
You think it's dysmorphia?
No, okay. So another thing that was on that unreleased podcast that won't get released.
It's gonna get released.
It might one day. But we got on some heavy subjects, and I don't know if we did them justice. So that's why I've kind of listened to it twice, and I'm like, I don't know if the message was sent across on all of it, but for the past 2 years, I was struggling with my drinking. For the past 2 years, I've had psoriasis too, where I got a patch on my elbow, a patch on my knee, behind my ears, in my hair.
Yeah.
And I had one on my tattoo on my chest, and I was like, I was kind of down on that one because I'm like, I got to heal my skin, then go back and get this re-tattooed. And it was kind of eating at me, but I stopped drinking per the law. So I don't go back to jail, and more water. I was drinking way too many Monsters, so that's why I stopped doing those. But the psoriasis I cut my hair down, I got rid of the mullet, and I noticed these patches on my scalp.
I was gonna ask about the hair. It looks like we both got a chop.
So I took it down, and then I was like, I just gotta shave it all the way bald, and the patches went away in like probably a week.
Yeah.
Like there was no more flaking, no nothing. The behind my ears went away completely. My knees started clearing up. My elbows, my arms, and I was like, I started looking into it, and it was the alcohol, the inflammation from the alcohol.
No, it's literal poison.
But the dermatologist never told me that. She wanted to
not.
put me on pills, creams, injections. So right now I'm like, man, for 2 years I was struggling paying for doctor visits and all this stuff, and it was kind of eating at me. Like, I'm not a skinny dude, but I don't care about taking my shirt off. Like, yeah, this is what you get. Like, this is who I am. But like the skin stuff, it's like, bro, I look like I had like leprosy or something in my own eyes.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't like this, and I want to fix it fast. Man, I was watching so many YouTube videos on how to fix skin conditions. Oh, we'll switch to red meat. Don't eat any fish. Eat just fish, no red meat. And I was like, bro, y'all are all saying the same thing but backwards. So I kind of just let it go and said it's going to be what it's going to be until I can get back to see a doctor, and then kind of fixed itself. The body is crazy in that way. If you take care of it, it takes care of you.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. At the end of all of that, man, all that matters is that you took control of your health.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest factor. You figured out what worked for you and your body.
And that's just another reason to not go back to drinking.
That's it.
It's just, all it does is, oh, we're checking another box. This is another, and like, I was down like 17 pounds the last time I checked. I haven't got back on a scale. Just from not drinking.
It's crazy.
So it's like, man, I was drinking a lot. I was like extra hydrated, but beer dehydrates you.
Right.
And you think it rehydrates you.
So does coffee and tea. Sorry to all the coffee and tea drinkers out there.
Well, I just drink.
Balance it out with water.
Here we go.
All right, balance it out with water.
All right, so let's go back to stigmas, because we went off on a tangent, which is usually what happens, but
Absolutely.
that's fine. But like you had put in people of color, ethnicity. I know from my Hispanic side, like the way that Hispanic, like the machismo, like you're too tough, like you're a badass, so we don't talk about our feelings.
Yep.
Like that mindset of not like stop being a bitch and come on, basically.
Right.
Like that same mindset. Like if you talk about something, then that makes it real. And I feel like that's a big issue. Like we got to get out of that. And I mean, I grew up in the east side of Fort Worth. There was me and another Mexican kid in class, and everybody else was predominantly black. And there was one white kid. And I didn't see any difference in the fathers, the way that they acted, the granddads, the way that they acted, everybody was. It was basically that same mentality that that Hispanic men have, and so I'm half white. I never really heard my dad open up ever.
Yeah.
And my grandfather never heard them talk about like real life issues, and I just feel like it's across the board, men in general.
Absolutely.
We just don't want to talk about it, and the ones that do, more power to you. I need to get to where you're at, but I don't know how we. I guess we just have to start having conversations with our sons, saying, "Hey, man, this is not okay. Like, come and talk to me. Let's have a conversation." And start them young, because when you start looking around, I know I don't see any other dudes doing that.
Right.
Me myself, I don't know any of my buddies that have kids. I don't see them talking to their kids. Me and my oldest son have a real good relationship.
Yeah, I've seen that on display. Y'all really do.
He pretty much tells me everything. Whenever he's going through something, we'll talk about it. But there's been some things in the past that I know that he hasn't talked to me about. But I figured when you're ready, we talk about enough. When you're ready to talk about certain things, we'll have that conversation.
I 100% am on that wave that you're on with having that open line of communication with your kids. Because the last thing you want is for the world to teach your kids about the things that you should be teaching them. For your kids to formulate an opinion about something that ultimately they really have no like use for. And then them not having that safe space. If you didn't have that safe space growing up, it's going to be difficult for you to cultivate it. But
Right.
It's possible. That is your opportunity. Your children are a great opportunity for that. And you never know, because kids are so wise, because they see everything black and white.
Yeah.
You can go to your kid and be like, "Oh, I feel fat today," or something like that. Just
Yeah.
general conversation or whatever. And they'll honestly, in most cases, they'll give it to you straight, and then that lets them feel free and feel comfortable to come back to you with any of their tough stuff. So, like my son, he is definitely the free spirit. Like, he just does whatever he wants to do. My daughter's a little more reserved. My son is definitely like out there, so he'll tell you what's on his mind in a heartbeat.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
I feel like everybody should be a little bit more like that.
Absolutely. Am I still good, or did I scoot up?
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just checking we're right on time. I didn't put my watch on.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Yeah, man. So you had said something about the stigmas and not talking as men as a whole, and I totally agree. Kevin Hart said something in, I want to say, it was either a movie or it was a stand-up, one of the two, and he was like, "Men don't talk about their feelings. They go to the barbershop or they watch the movie Barbershop." I'm like, that's so true though, bro.
Yeah.
Like, we don't do it, and I really, what it boils down to is something that we should actually be discussing, and that's fear. We have a fear of being vulnerable. We have a fear of people seeing that we're normal people. We have a fear of someone looking at us and wanting to either utilize that to their advantage and to our disadvantage, that they see that we're just a human that has issues, thoughts, emotions, feelings, everything. So we harden up because we feel like that's what we have to do in order to survive. So you're basically building a persona that you walk around with that ultimately gets passed down, because I can guarantee that you didn't learn all of that on your own. You didn't learn how to be a hard ass and all that on your own. It was it was someone else that you saw how they moved, and you were like, "Oh, I want to be a bigger, better, faster version of that." And I feel like that's what I can literally attribute a lot of my persona ultimately to, before I started to break free from that and realize that I'm not a bigger, faster, better, stronger version of the people that I idolized. I'm me. Right. There's some shit I don't like. There's some shit I don't want to have as part of my life and my story. There's plenty of things that I don't want to pass down to my children.
Exactly.
And so, you have to be cognizant of that stuff, and you have to literally want to do something different.
Yeah.
That's the start.
Yeah, I think that's basically where I am now, because when I was married, in my relationship, raising my kids, we were these people, but she used to tell me that I wasn't happy, and in that moment, my happiness doesn't matter. I'm worried about my kids,
right?
So I would no, I'm fine. And then after everything fell apart, separation, she lives over there, I live over here, we're not together, that's all over.
Yeah.
I pushed myself into drinking, but then I found like this other version of who was happy. Like I could just go do my own thing, go out to eat, go hang out with some buddies, and then I let that guy get a little bit too out there and not holding myself in check on certain things with the drinking. Basically, it's just all the drinking. And then it's like, well, who am I now? And then I was talking with Kai about it. He goes, bro, that was just the alcohol. That's not who you were.
Right.
So you can still do all those things. You just have to know you can't drink.
Right.
Like, that didn't make you who you were. He goes, we're hanging out now, and it's the same. Nothing changed. You just don't have a beer in your hand.
Right.
And then it's like, you're right. Like, I can still go to shows. I can still go to nights out. I just have to be cognizant of, bro, drink water, get a Red Bull, get something else. But one thing I think I will do is shorten the time out. Instead of showing up at 7 and leaving at 2, it's like, let's show up at 10 and leave at midnight.
Perfect.
Like, we're still there. We made the appearance. We came and hang out with our friends. We had a good time. But let's not linger in this moment and try to make it something that it's not.
Right. You don't put yourself in the lines then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one. And so, like, finding this other person that I am now, it's a balance of who I was when I was married, but also who I was when I wasn't. And, like, dude, I like some corny shit. I'm a nerd, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie. One of the things that got me through this past 30 days of not drinking,
yeah,
is fucking professional wrestling.
What's wrong with that?
But I mean, like, you know, this is fake, right, bro? It's a show.
Exactly.
Like, it's a performance. You know that every reality TV show that everyone watches, that shit's fake.
It's fake.
Too.
It's all scripted.
Like, it's not real. And you know those movies you like to watch? They're fake.
Right.
The Rock never jumped from that one skyscraper to the other one holding on to an I-beam in the middle of the air with a fake leg. It didn't happen.
Right.
But, I mean, for me, it's entertaining. It takes me back to my childhood. And it makes me feel good. Like, it's like, oh, wow, they're still wrestling, huh? Oh, they made a comeback. And it's just little stuff like that. And me and my cousin one day, when I was drinking, when I really realized I still liked wrestling, we just sat on the couch and watched the promos. Just The Rock talk shit to everyone. And it was like, this is still entertaining.
Very much
in my 30s. I still love to watch
Very
this.
much so.
So, I mean, that's just one big thing for me. And, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I can't watch that. It's all fake. Or some people are like, oh, I can't watch Star Wars. Or I can't watch Star Trek. I don't like Star Trek. But I love Star Wars. I love the Ninja Turtles. All that shit that from when I was a little kid, I'm still like, no, I still like all of this.
Yep.
And
that's a big deal, finding what you like.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big piece of healing, because that's what you're doing right now. You're healing. And a big piece of healing is literally like scraping away all the layers, like peeling back all the layers of that onion that is like you, and the tough skin that you put on, and all the shit that you've gone through, all the trauma and all the baggage, everything that's weighing you down. And you're just like slowly but surely sifting through the garbage, and you realize, I like this, I like this, I don't like this, I want to be around these kind of people, and I want to be this kind of person.
Exactly.
And the beauty is, you have every opportunity in the rest of your life to figure that out, and to let that morph into what it is that's going to be your life, you know? So I've been doing the same thing, man. You talk about professional wrestling. I'm like, oh, I actually like physically going to the movies. I don't care that it costs money to go. Like, I'm going to get up, I'm going to get out of the house and go do something.
I haven't been to a movie in, I want to say, probably at least 8 months.
Yeah.
Be inside of a movie theater. And I told my older son, because we watched the first 2 Creeds. And he was like, I want to go see it. And then I didn't have him that weekend. He was with his mom when it came out. So I was like, well, we'll see it next weekend. And then he's like, well, it's going to be on, we can stream it in like a week. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it'll be on Amazon Prime or whatever in a week. And I'm like, well, that takes that sucks the life out of it.
It's the world of instant.
Because, because we can't leave our house anymore. We can't do it. We have to just have it at home.
Right.
And I was like, that's crazy. I remember movies would be at the movie theater for like a month.
Literally.
When we were kids. You could, the movie came out like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, we can still go see it at the movie theater. And now it's like, you can watch it on Amazon. If it even goes to the movie theater.
Right.
With Netflix now, we're just going to make all these movies and put them right out there. And I do like what Hulu does though when they only release like one episode every week.
Right. Make sure it's very nostalgic. You have
Yeah.
to. It's like when you had to catch it on TV that
Yep.
day or set a DVR video recording or something.
Right.
Yeah, man.
I remember like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? To be continued.
Right.
I remember that as a kid and like, what? We don't get to find out. Did he live or did he die or?
Nope. You got to find out next Wednesday.
What are we doing? And then I remember going, dude. I remember Chappelle Show like that.
Mm-hmm.
When we would watch the Chappelle Show in high school, I remember being there all day after the Little John skit. What? Okay, just all day, up and down every hallway. I remember everyone doing it. Oh, what did you think about this? Oh, what did you think about that? Like it was. I mean, it molded a part of my high school years just
Absolutely.
because it was like everyone, no matter what race you were, male or female, everyone was like, Chappelle Show comes on tonight. And if you didn't watch Chappelle Show the next day, you were like, bro, you didn't watch Chappelle Show? Like, do your parents not let you watch TV? Or y'all not have cable? Like, if you don't have cable, I'll tell you what happened.
Right.
So you can know. But I remember Chappelle Show was one of those things, like a cultural icon just in that time frame. And then, like, Dave Chappelle exposed so many people to so many different artists because he was like, these are dudes that I hang out with, but also listen to their music.
Right.
And I feel like, because I don't watch Saturday Night Live. I don't watch late night talk shows when they have artists on. I don't watch none of that.
That's an element you should add to this. At a certain point, you bring your artist buddies on, you just like, here's their song too.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
I can actually do that on Spotify, I think. With the thing, I think I can play music. I'll figure that out. I don't have to talk about that on camera because I do that all the time. But yeah, I think that the whole concept of us as men being able to talk to our sons and even our daughters too, because I do feel like women in general, they tend to have more friends than men do. So like you have a friend group and maybe you don't confide everything in that one friend, but maybe you talk to this one about relationships.
Right.
Or you talk to that one about your career. As men, it's like, bro, I'm lucky if I got 5 guys on one hand that I trust with just about everything.
Right.
And there's certain people like, how am I going to talk to him about a relationship? He ain't even been in no relationships. But women, they're generally more open than men are to some degree. And I'm sure every woman has her secrets just like men do that we don't want to talk about, that they don't want to talk about.
Right.
But I feel like most women have a better core group of friends around them.
We generally take longer to get to that point. So like, I bet you your friends that you're that close with, either like you had a experience together, or they were later on in life after you started like healing from some things, or they're people that you've known since you were younger.
Yeah.
That's usually how it goes. Like my closest friends are people from KC that I grew up with.
Yeah.
You know, I got a couple folks here that I've known since high school that I'm really close with, that I can go and feel comfortable being able to talk to and bouncing ideas off of them. But other than that, pretty much everybody's acquaintances. You know? You don't want to just start giving out information because that's access.
Yeah.
Giving everyone access to you that they don't deserve, that they're going to misuse, because that's what people do, is something you have to be careful with. Like if you're trying to get better and be better and do better and be a different person, you have to start limiting your access as well.
Yeah.
You know, so that's a big factor. And I think that establishing boundaries and standards for your life is something that's huge with regards to the levels of vulnerability that you want to be as a fully functioning grown man.
Right.
You know, like if you just let everybody trample all over you, you're going to be a giver. Give. People are going to take because they know that they can.
Yeah.
If you start establishing those boundaries and those standards for yourself, then people, they respect it, and they subsequently respect you.
Right.
So, you know, I think that's huge. That's how you break the stigma, rather than sitting around and just being like, man, I don't have anybody to talk to. Well, you and I were, when we were talking about doing this, we had that conversation where we were trying to figure out some of the topics, and when, you know, I was expressing about this one specifically, you're like, yeah, man, like male suicide rates are super high because we have no one to talk to. We feel underappreciated. We feel undervalued. We feel like we have to be someone else or always be providing a good or a service in order for people to see value in us and for us to see value in ourselves.
Right.
And that's That's
Who
terrible.
Who said it? Chris Rock said it. Men aren't loved unconditionally.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started on that. You know what?
It's not. But it's true. The way that when he had that, it was in his stand up, but it's true. Usually, men have to provide something for us to see, for someone to see value in us.
Yep.
And talking to another man about it, it's like, bro, you have value. I have value, but when it comes to a relationship, when it comes to work, when it comes to any of those areas, like, no, but what's your value?
Right.
Not that you showed up on time, but what are you bringing to this table right now?
Think about it. What's first question people ask you when besides your name, whenever you're like getting introduced to somebody? Oh, cool. What do you do?
Exactly.
What do you do? What do you mean? What do I do? I exist. I'm a fucking human. That's what I do.
Drink water.
It's like, why are you asking me what I do? Like, you know, like it's such a weird concept. Some of the things that we have ultimately like popularized in terms of interacting with each other as humans just doesn't make sense from a logical standpoint. Worrying about what someone does means that you're trying to basically get in-depth knowledge on somebody that you don't know, that you don't even know if you're ever going to actually interact with again.
Right.
It doesn't matter what I do. It matters this interaction right now. Let's appreciate this. Let's appreciate the fact that we're here and able to do this, you know?
And see, and honestly, there's like, you don't know what I do. I don't think we've ever talked. I don't know what you do either.
Right.
I just know that we hang out and we have a good time.
That's it.
Like, because I've hung out with you on multiple occasions now, and I'm like, I don't know what he does. And like, because I'm a mechanic, so the first time I meet someone, they immediately think, "Oh, mechanic." Put that in my pocket.
Right.
Now, when something goes wrong with my car, maybe I'll call him. And I've had some people reach out, but the majority of people that have reached out are like, "Hey, man, what would you charge me for this?" And they don't. Then they're like, "Hey, man, if you don't want to do it, I could take it somewhere."
Right.
But I'm just figuring maybe, and by all means, I need the money right now with this attorney fee, so. If you need some, hit me up. We'll see what happens. But
hit them up.
But yeah, there's sometimes I feel like that. Yeah, like you want to build like your infinity gauntlet, so where you have someone that basically knows how to do everything, and
everybody wants to have a guy for everything. Like somebody's like, oh, I need this.
Oh, I got a guy who does t-shirts. Oh, I got a guy who makes beats. Oh, I got a guy. And see, like, I know all these guys that do all these things, but I don't do music. So it doesn't, like, I'll point people in certain ways. Like, hey, man, I'm thinking about this. I'm like, go hit him on Boy Session. He makes beats. Man, he makes all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe he's got something for you. Hit him up. See what happens. Or, hey, man, looking at getting some t-shirts. So I hit on my guy, but he said this price. I think I got a better price. Well, I reached out. I did my part.
Right.
If you don't want to use them, that's up to y'all. I don't care. Like, I got my own stuff going on. But I mean, I can link people up all day. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you want to, you make your own decisions.
There's nothing wrong with being a connector, but what you don't want is you don't want to be used.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's just world of instant. People are like, well, there's always, like, I can go to the internet, or I can go to this person, or I can go here. Like, if you don't have it, I can pull out my phone and get it in an instant.
Yeah.
And we start to devalue each other based on that alone. So I'm going to circle back and talk about the concept of unconditional love. So I will die on this ledge by myself. I don't care. Men are not unconditionally loved. It is not, I think, it is not, I feel, it is a fact. Men are not unconditionally loved because they have to be providing something in order to have value. Like you said, the only entities that are unconditionally loved are women, children, and animals. That's it. People will go to war over any of those things. You don't see people going to war over other men. You don't see anybody going to war over a dude's feelings, anything along those lines. If a man is done wrong, shake it off, bro. Get up.
Yeah.
And you're taught that from a young age. My son is 5, and I promise you, I think I said to him one time, like, "Oh, get up, man. You're all right."
Yeah.
When he was sad because he got hurt, and I was like, "Nah, we're not doing that shit, bro." Like, now every time he's like, "Dad, my head hurts," or, "Oh, I bumped my knee or my head," or something like that, I'm like, "Are you okay? What do you need?"
Yeah. And that's a big one, because I know, like you said, world of instant. It's like, oh, he did just get hurt. I saw how he fell. You okay, buddy? You all right?
Right.
You gonna get up? And then that world of when they're actually okay. All right, cool. Because it's like, man, I saw the way he fell. He could be crying for the next 45 minutes if he wants to,
Right.
and I wouldn't be mad at him because that looked like it
I
hurt.
say that shit probably hurt.
But I mean, yeah, I'm glad when you don't cry, but at the same time, if you need to cry, let me know.
Right.
And the whole, man, when you said animals, it just makes me think, John Wick, man, they killed that fool's dog and they made 4 movies now.
Literally.
just because they killed his dog, bro.
I was explaining to somebody my mother, I was explaining to her the John Wick series. She was like, oh, I tried watching the 3rd one because I saw a commercial about the 4th one. She's like, I didn't really like it. I was like, the whole, like, premise of that entire series is they brought this man back to, like, the dark side ultimately because they killed his dog. She's like, wait, what? It's like, yes, that's it. You want to go see John Wick? Just know it's about some dude whose dog got killed and he has special talents and now he's gonna go fuck everybody up as a result of it because they keep messing with him. But
I didn't think about that until the other day. There was a stand-up and he mentioned that. He goes, I thought the John Wick movies were dumb, and I can't remember the comic's name. It was a reel on Instagram, and he just said, he goes, man, I never had a dog, and then he goes, now I'll kill all of y'all too. I don't care. And it's the truth. Like, you never, when you finally have a dog and it's like your dog, and you just want your dog like, hey, I got you, bro. You got me. And your dog's like, looks at you, and another dog barks. He's like, I got you, heart. And you and your dog have that understanding, like, hey, just chill right now, bro. That's a little dog. You're gonna kill him. But you kind of realize that it's a sad statement because, I mean, there are some people that do unconditionally love you. Your mom, like, there's some family members that they got your back. But in most relationships and in most friendships, it's not always unconditional.
It's what can you do for me?
Yeah. And I think that's something that we as men need to work on.
Yep.
Maybe not seeking from women, but from each other in friendships. Like,
absolutely,
bro. Like, I just love you, bro. Like, we're good. Like, let's go grab breakfast.
Yep.
Like, why?
I want to see you succeed. Like, how was your day? Like, bro, I have no problem literally asking my buddies, like, when we start chopping it up about anything, if we're on the game or something, got the headset on, it's like, hey, like, how y'all doing? How you doing, bro? It's good to hear your voice. You okay?
Yeah.
I will make it awkward. I don't care because I there was this phrase or this saying, and I'm gonna butcher the hell out of it, but it's like I'd rather listen to your problems than attend your funeral type vibes.
That was why I started talking about mental health on here. Is Paddy the Baddy, the UFC fighter, and
because he lost his friend.
Yeah, his friend. He goes, I got a call. I got to go to his funeral, and he goes. And his thing was, let's go grab a pint, let's go grab a beer, let's talk. That way, because I'd rather see you next week than attend your funeral, basically, is what he was saying. But he has a very heavy accent, so you didn't butcher. It sounded exactly like normal English.
Yeah. And honestly, that's probably where I got it from because I do watch a lot of UFC. So, yeah.
But yeah, I think the answer to how do we get the help or the what was the original?
It was the help that we need and deserve.
We need and deserve.
Yep.
I think it starts with men to men friendships. Like, let's start doing that for each other.
Yeah.
So we're not all, because I'm not a big believer in. There are some reasons you might want to go to counseling or have a therapist, but I think at some level it starts with the people you surround yourself with.
Absolutely.
And if you want someone to be available for you when you're going through something, you got to be available for them when they're going through something. Like we're talking about, it's like, what can you do for me? No, what can I do for you?
Right.
Like, if you need something and I expect you to be there for me when I need something, it goes both ways. Yeah. And we have to cultivate those relationships so that everyone knows, like, hey, I got your back and you got mine. And then someone else comes into the equation. Hey, man, that's how you build a circle. That's how you build people you can trust. That's how you
find your tribe.
Yeah, and that's how you can be vulnerable in those moments when you need to be. You got to find those.
So everyone deserves, and I do mean everyone, deserves to have a safe space. Everyone deserves to have a safe space. And if you cannot find it, you can create it. And if you don't know how to create it, just get around like-minded people who literally you just feel free and comfortable to be like, yo, bro, I'm not okay right now.
Yeah.
Like, there's power in just acknowledging, accepting, and speaking out that you know that you're not okay. You know you're not a robot. Like, we're not designed to just harbor all of this shit. We're literally designed to, like, be and exist and love and grow and nurture and explore and, like, question everything. I had a conversation with my kids the other day. I was like, literally, you will never get in trouble with me for questioning anything. Ask questions.
Oh yeah.
Everyone doesn't know everything. Your teachers don't know everything. The law doesn't know everything. I don't know everything. Like, there's literally, like, you can question everything. If you're part of religion, question everything. Don't, like, figure it out for yourself. Make it make sense to you rather than just, like, going with the flow of what everyone else says, because you don't know what everyone else's intentions and things are in that nature. Number one. Number two, you don't know what everyone's knowledge level is. Someone could just be sitting around having a conversation. Like, we're sitting around having a conversation right now. People don't know what my background is in terms of being able to speak on this. Like, this could be something I've been doing for years, or it could be something that's brand new to me. You never know. But whatever you can take away from conversations and interaction that helps you be a better person and teaches you principles to live by, like, man, I support that wholeheartedly. Like, create the life that you want.
Right.
And then pass that knowledge on. Don't just hold that stuff in for yourself. Like, pass it on. Everyone should have someone that they're learning from and someone that they're teaching.
Right. See, so these are just my therapy sessions. Different people come on and tell me how to fix my problems.
There it is.
But I felt like that's what the Six Pack podcast was, but we had alcohol involved. So now we removed the alcohol. Now I'm going to retain this and apply it towards my life. Boom. Rather than just, oh, that's cool. Dude, there's some bad podcasts out there, bro. But my podcasts were bad. All right. Let's get into the other topic that I feel like ties in. Seeking validation unnecessarily as a trauma response. Does that feel like it ties into you? Because I feel like we need and we want and deserve, like, we need it, the validation. Because I feel like that's one thing coming out of my marriage, that I wanted validation.
Right.
And, like, I wanted to feel like, hey, you were doing a good job. But at the same time, I didn't do everything perfect. It was, it was a wholehearted effort. But I feel like, because, like, my real trauma, that was my trauma, and my response was find someone who appreciates me.
Right.
And that was, like, the only requirement. Like, not that we're compatible, that we should be together, that we have a strong relationship. It was find someone that appreciates you.
Man, appreciation is huge.
And that's it. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I just wanted to feel like I was a good guy, and I would literally do whatever it was just to get that out of that relationship.
That's a trauma response.
Oh yeah, I know. Now,
right? That's a trauma response, man. And I learned this from experience as well, like with the same experiences that you had, you know, because we have very similar stories in that context with regards to relationships, with regards to marriages, you know. So I'm a big believer in you only know what you know when you know it. You have to learn things. You have to experience things. You have to go through stuff. You have to go through good and bad to have an appreciation of life and to actually learn anything. And you should never stop learning and growing. And so in that vein, you know, when it comes to things like knowing what it is that you want for your life, you knew that you wanted appreciation. You knew that anything else you could figure out. You cannot figure out being appreciated by your people. You cannot make that yourself. And everyone does need people who literally love and appreciate them around. Now, in most cases, we generally start to push those people away because that's just a natural reflex. We're like, you love me a little too much. Like, what's going on here? Mm-hmm. What do you want from me? But again, that's a trauma response. So being able to identify things like, I just wanted to be appreciated, is a great start. It's huge because then you can start to set boundaries and standards for your life. And those are some of the like key factors in actually like becoming the man that you want to be, is determining what it is that actually matters to you. Because the world will tell you you need to be respected, you need to be feared, you need to be admired, you need to be all these things. Like, bro, I don't give a fuck about any of that. I care about being appreciated. I care about, you know, if I'm giving and I'm, you know, taking care of and providing and all these things that I'm supposed to be doing, show a little gratitude, show a little appreciation, because that's what matters to me.
Right.
I don't have a curated response that I want from you. I don't want you to come to me and be like, oh, you're the greatest thing since sliced bread, let me love you. I don't need you to do that. I can love myself. What I need from you is appreciation for the fact that I love you enough to do these things for you.
Right. But see, now I can identify it. And now that I identified it, I don't care about it. It was literally what I needed to get out of my headspace at that time.
Yeah.
And now I just feel like removing the alcohol, I just feel like I want my head on straight, and I want to make better conscious decisions for my future.
Yep.
Because I don't want to sleep on concrete floors anymore. So now it's just become full blown into what is next? What do I want to pursue now? How am I going to get there? What are my next steps? And dude, that's trying to figure out, basically you're trying to find, what do you want to do with your life?
Right. Who are you?
What they ask us when we're like 18 or 19 and we're like, oh, do you want to go to college, or do you want to do this for a career? Do you want to try this? Basically, that's where my headspace is right now. But as a grown man, not worried about, like, okay, so most people, I'm 33, I'll be 34. Most men at that age, if we're still single, we're like, okay, here in the next couple of years, we need to be in a serious relationship. We need to start thinking about settling down, getting a house, having a family, because time's kind of not on our side.
Right.
Before you know it, we'll be 45, and if we don't have any kids by 45, it's kind of like, is that just something we're not going to do?
Right.
We can still have a marriage and a house and cars and everything, but at 33 right now, about to be 34, I've had the marriage, I have 3 kids, and it's like, what's really important to me? And I think that's something that trying to find validation, trying to find anything in my headspace right now is kind of like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what direction I'm going. I don't know where I want to go. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy doing the podcast, so I'm just going to keep doing it. And someone told me, like, well, what if no one watches it? Well, I don't care if anyone watches it.
I don't do it for that.
I'm not here because 1,000 people watched it. I'm here because I genuinely... You get so much when you talk to people about their real life experiences rather than a 10-minute interview that you watch on TV.
Right.
Because they're here to promote their thing. They're here to tell you a funny story. And then they're here to make you remember that they have a movie coming out.
Right.
Or they have an album coming out. And those are great. And people, I want to know more. I want to know how your brain works,
right.
I guess.
Who are you?
Yeah. Not who you portray yourself as, but who are you?
Right.
And I found out who you were when you texted me that day.
Yeah.
When you were like, hey, and it was a voice message. I forgot.
Yep.
It was a voice memo. Message.
Yep.
Yeah,
voice memo.
Like,
I'm big on that, man. I hate texting. So
yeah, but it was just like, just so you know, we're not just Instagram friends. Like we're for real. I'm like, and like stuff like that. I'd rather spend 2 or 3 hours talking with you than going and meeting famous people and doing all these crazy ass interviews with people that are like, oh man, do you know who that was? Right. Do you know who I had on my podcast? I don't give a shit about that dude. I don't know who he is.
Right.
And just you reaching out like that was like, oh, okay, wow. Like I mean, we had hung out and seems really solid and people speaks highly of him. But when we see each other, but that's another thing. Like I don't like that stigma that I have to hang out with you every day for you to be my friend.
Right.
Like, oh, he's a good friend of mine. And they're like, man, you haven't seen that dude in 3 months. Okay. But when I do see him, it'll be a handshake, a hug. We'll sit down. We'll talk about what's going on with us. And we're not going to sit here and worry about, why didn't you call me back that one day? Why didn't you reach out when you went here? I could have gone with you.
Right.
Like, I'm not real big
on
that stuff. Like, If I'm out, hey man, I'm out. Ah man, I'm in Dallas. Cool, bro. Like I'm not here like
Be safe, bro.
yeah, I'm not here like, hey man, why didn't you invite me to Dallas? Like I'm not really about all that. Like
Yeah.
I just genuinely like to hang out with people that want to have a good time. We can talk about some real stuff. We can be goofy, talk about stuff that doesn't matter, stand up comedy, and those are the people that I feel like I get my validation from now.
For sure.
Because it's like you don't expect anything out of me. You just want to hang out with me.
Yep.
We just want to have a good time, whether that involves alcohol or not is off the table now for me. But for a long time there was like my cousin is my biggest one that I started the podcast with. Like we used to just go to the gym together. We go play basketball. He got a motorcycle, and then the motorcycle's coming when all this court stuff's over. So that's going to be something that we take up. Start a motorcycle club. I don't know if we're going to start a club.
You're finding things that you like to do.
Yeah,
huge.
Exactly. I mean, and honestly, like I don't even know if I want to ride a motorcycle, but I want to get one. I got to find out. How else am I going to find out?
So you never know until you try it.
So, trying new stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, my therapy session is just turning into me rambling.
That's good though.
Okay, seeking validation unnecessarily is a trauma response. Let's get back on topic.
Let's do it. So, from my perspective, when I definitely had thoughts whenever I was, throwing out topics for you, or for us, sorry, because this is our conversation collectively. Whenever that topic came about, for me, it was boiling down to the world of instant that we live in, like I've spoken to a couple different times. And what I mean by that is that literally you can get instant love, albeit fake love. You can get instant attention, likes, comments, all that stuff, mentions, anything along those lines. You can get instant access to people that you really don't even deserve, and vice versa. You can get instant anything instant. You want some food right now, you want some coffee, anything along those lines. Like, we live in this world of instant where it's a matter of convenience, and when something is inconvenient to you because it's not easily accessible, it becomes an issue. Yeah. So when you talk about things like gratification, you talk about wanting people to see you, love you, adore you, things of that nature. You didn't specifically say that, but that's what's boiled into that whole mentality. The world of instant that we live in and the availability at our fingertips to access everything is actually doing us a detriment. And I will say honestly that COVID made it worse, because then at that point we just distanced ourselves from people, and it was socially acceptable to just be rude.
Yeah. And
not have genuine care and concern for other people. And it still lingers. Like, one of the biggest things for me, and I'm going to say this and I might get some flack for it, but I don't care, because this is my season of ruffling feathers, so fuck y'all. But it's like when like the whole tipping thing. Tipping is supposed to be a result of service. Like, you get service and you appreciate it. But now, literally anywhere you go, the tip button is thrown in your face immediately.
Yeah.
For you walking up and doing whatever it is, people want you to tip them because they showed up to work that day.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not out here putting tip buttons or putting a tip jar there saying like, hey, I sang and it was really good, you should tip me. Like, no. You do things that you're supposed to do. You do things that you want to do. You put yourself in spaces that you want to be in, or need to be in, or get to be in, and you just supposed to own that. Mm-hmm. Own that space. Don't ask for people to go above and beyond for you when you're doing the bare minimum. Right. And so that's the mentality behind that, and it's frustrating because you see it so rampant right now, where everyone just wants to take because it's accessible.
Because like, so there's a taco shop I go to, and they take cash, but if you take card, they flip the iPad around. You already had to make the food. I literally told you what I wanted, you put it in the computer, and then you flip the iPad, and it has 10% tip, 50%, 20%. It's like, I don't tip at McDonald's. I don't tip at Burger King. You're gonna hand me this bag of food, and you have tip up here, and it gets me. And so the art festival is card only this year.
Oh wow!
No cash.
Okay.
I read that on the website, and I guarantee you,
Oh yeah.
Every little beer stand, every drink stand, food stand, you'll hit your card or you'll tap your card, and the first thing it'll say before you sign or put a pin in is, would you like to tip? These are suggested amounts. And I'm sorry, but I asked you for a beer, you turned around, grabbed one, turned back around, handed it to me, and now it's suggesting 10, 15, and 20%.
There's no experience that was cultivated in order for you to need to tip. You didn't sit down at a restaurant. You literally walked up, placed your order. They did it quickly, gave it to you, and it should be transactional and you're done. There should be no additional layers to that. And you can take that connotation with life as well.
Can you tip at Starbucks?
I'm sure you can. Because they also have little tip jars there too.
That's true.
You know, it's instant gratification.
Yeah, I've never thought about the Starbucks one because I just give them my card in the drive-thru usually. Man, that makes me think too, because like honestly, I remember when you used to tip, it was like you said, the experience.
Yeah.
I don't know, like the things that I judge when I would go to a restaurant and they were expecting a tip as a waiter, was my food hot when I got it, or did you leave it sitting in the window for too long? Did I have to ask for refills?
Right. Were you attentive?
Did I have to ask for napkins? Did I have to ask for a straw? Did I have to ask for silverware? Did I have to ask for more chips at a Mexican restaurant when those are supposed to be free? That's the free appetizer. But I mean, just stuff like that. Those are the things that I would. And you can take it a step further, like if you're at a Hooters or a Wild Pitch or a Twin Peaks, those girls make their money on tips.
Right.
And if you feel like you were paid attention to, then you tip more. And I mean, and that's not instant gratification. She actually put in work.
Right.
She came over there. She asked you about your day. She asked you what your plans are later.
Mm-hmm.
When's the next time you're going to be in?
It's an experience.
Yeah, like
it's an experience.
And honestly, like I never because a lot of other waiters don't have those conversations with you because they don't get tipped the same way.
Right.
And yeah, but it's an experience for sure. I never thought about that. That we are completely caught up in that instant gratification. Like we'd rather pay $15 more for someone to bring us Chipotle than just get in the car and drive down the road. Yeah. And we wait longer. We want instant gratification, but we wait longer for the food so we don't actually have to do anything.
The gratification is that you place your order and you can go about your day of doing everything else until you wait an hour and a half for your cold McDonald's to show up to your house. That's the gratification. I did something, I did it, but guess what's on there? A tip button.
There's a tip button, and they already charged you for the delivery. I know, because I DoorDash, and I was like, when they hit me with that tip, I'm like, yes, bro, I appreciate you.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. But the overarching question, just about this, because we streamed off to this world of instant, but seeking that validation unnecessarily really comes from the fact that all of the things that we do nowadays, for the most part, are trauma responses. You know, and people don't validate those things. When you stop scapegoating people in happenstances, like you stop scapegoating everything else and take a look at what it is that your impact to your own life and your experiences, and you just simply validate that for yourself, you stop looking for that acceptance. You stop looking for that, you know, for any of that negative aspect of it on the other end, because you don't need that validation, because you looked at it from your own perspective and said, hey, I have my own thoughts, feelings, and opinions and emotions tied into this. I want to dissect it for myself, figure out what it means, write about it if I need to, cuss, cry, whatever the case may be. But I'm not going to go take that out on someone else, or I'm not going to go to a social media app and basically post something that I want people to respond to that's going to make me feel good about myself, because you're sending those signals to your brain when you look at the number of likes and comments and all that, that's telling you whether or not you're valuable.
Right.
You know, you look at engagement rates and all that stuff or whatever.
Yeah,
and
that's why I don't. That's like I.
What does it matter?
I don't. That's why I stopped looking at numbers on how many people viewed the podcast or how many people listen to it
Yep.
on this, or how many people listen to it on that. It's like, I'm just going to put it out there. If 6 people listen to it and one person got something out of it, then that was it. That
You
was
did
what
your
it was
job.
for. I was just there for that one person that day. They might never listen again, but if they got something out of this, then that's what I'm doing it for.
If I can take it in stride with that and speak from a musical perspective, like I tell stories.
Yeah.
I tell stories about my life. I don't sing about anything I don't know about. I don't sing about something that I haven't experienced for myself. And I tell stories. Like I like the purity of being able to like share your experiences through a medium that you feel comfortable with. This is your medium. My medium is music. So being able to share it through that and, you know, make good music but impactful music that people can still jam to is big for me. So, you know, like you talk about your experiences with regards to your marriage and how things went in that regard. I put out a whole EP about it, the whole single verse EP. That's literally all it was. That was me in this new space saying, how the fuck did I get here? And what am I doing? And basically having a recollection across the songs of ultimately one segment of my life, which was my marriage, and saying, oh, okay, well, I would, you know, this is driving me crazy. Start there. The next thing is, well, how did we get here? Next thing after that is, oh, I identified how I got here because I own my part of it. I always kept one foot out the door. That's what that song's about. Then you go into a song like Toxic, it's like you keep going back and forth because it feels good. And because you stay in it, you linger anything along those lines because you're comfortable and you're complacent. Then you finish it up with a song like Narrative, where it's like, you know, after all this, you strip everything away. I would do anything to have it to change the narrative that we have created for this and just get back to the purity of it.
Yeah.
You know, so if you haven't listened to that, sorry, shameless plug, go listen to it.
Not shameless. The problem is with me, is it on Apple?
It's everywhere. So
But see, the thing is on Apple, like every time I turn on Apple, I just hit top songs. And then I play in, like, I need that order. I need to play in that order.
Right.
So I can get that. Okay.
So you just got to click on the actual album itself.
Okay, Robert's got homework.
Let it run from top to bottom. But yeah, man, like I that's my thing when it comes to artistry for me. If you like stories, you like vulnerability, things like that. Like I'm literally bleeding on each track or talking about, you know, an experience on each track that is actually relevant to my life and my experiences, you know. And when I simplify things, that's when people generally connect with it the most. Like I'm not trying to do too much. I'm not trying to be too lyrical. I'm not doing any of those things. I'm just like, hey, this was shitty. You know? And you just talk about that for 3 minutes at a time and you know, people rock with it. So, you know, I say that to say, to your point, I was big on numbers before, and I had a comparison complex because I would look at other people who I thought were like, you're not nearly as talented as I am.
Right.
But your numbers go crazy because either you have a machine behind you or you're paying for numbers or any combination of the thing. Like, God forbid that, you know, there's just people out there that are better than you. What'd you do? You know, but it's like you look at it from that perspective, and it's like you take out the comparison, which makes you stop looking at the numbers, which makes you appreciate the fact that you just get the opportunity to experience, like, being and doing. Yeah. I had a buddy, and this is going to be my tidbit about this, and I want everybody to take this and run with it. I had a buddy who told me, like, a story about how he gained appreciation for what he was able to do in his life. He had a dream of being a baseball player. It was his dream. He didn't say what level. He didn't say for how long. He didn't say any of that. His dream was to be a baseball player. Okay? So this man found a league, created a team, multiple teams now at this point, plays on the team, enjoys, loves it top to bottom. That was his thing. He was like, bro, they can never take away from me that I didn't accomplish a goal of being a baseball player. Right. And so for me, I'm like, I want to be a musician. I want to be a singer. So when I got off my ass and took it seriously, I invested the time, the effort, the money, the resources, everything into it. I put my craft out there. And so I don't care if I get 10 streams or 10,000 streams. Right. I did it.
Right.
You cannot take that away from me. I've been on stages and gotten paid for shows. I haven't gotten paid for some shows. Like, at the end of the day, it's all an experience that you can never take away from me. So
Right.
I love it. I love it and I value it.
Yeah. You hear that, guys? I'm a podcaster.
See? You have a dream, you have a goal, man.
I had literally talked about starting a podcast for probably like 7 years when I was married.
Yeah.
And man, we threw around so many ideas. Me and multiple friends, a family member, another family, someone that's not part of the family anymore. And the craziest idea we ever had was to wear like ski masks or Halloween masks. So if we said anything that triggered anybody, they wouldn't know it was us.
Just anonymous, the anonymous podcast.
Yeah, I think we had thrown around the idea of the mask cast. And
that's kind of cool. Don't steal that.
Well, I mean, Kanye did that on the Alex Jones. He had the all black mask on. He didn't even have eye cutouts or mouth. It was just, but I had talked about a podcast, and then like I was like, when I was like I was like, guys, like my podcast is on Spotify now.
But it's a big deal, man.
But the thing is, it took time and effort to figure it out. After someone told me how to do it, it's like, man, to still go in there to cut and edit, and then to wait for the time, and then you actually send someone a link, and they can click on it, and it's like, bro, I said to my cousin, I was like, bro, that's us talking. We're on Apple Podcast and Spotify, and I was like, bro, I'm a little like, bro.
Yeah,
like we like you said, like no one can ever take that away.
Take that away from
like, is your podcast real? I mean, it's on Apple and Spotify, and it's been on YouTube for over a year, and it's kind of like, well, how many episodes do you have? Combined now, we're at like almost 60-something episodes.
Wow, man.
So it's like, yeah, like we've actually been like some of those early ones were real rough. I remember there was a drunken night where we recorded a podcast. We turned off the camera, and my cousin said I was still talking to the camera. And I was like, what did I do after that? He goes, you went on the couch and fell asleep at my house. I was like, well, at least I didn't drive home.
There is that. That's a takeaway.
But yeah. All right, man. We'll plug Saturday one more time, and then we'll wrap this up unless there's anything else you want to touch base on.
Nah, man. We could do this all day.
I know we can. We're probably gonna end up doing this a couple of more times.
We could do this all day.
For sure.
This Saturday, Main Street Arts Festival, 3 to 4:30. But come early, stay late, man. There's so many really talented musicians. I'm just honored to be part of it, man. So shouts out to, Bency Jones, Avery Berg, Bubba Belen. Like, those folks are going to be on that same stage. So sharing that stage with literally people that are my friends in the industry as well is going to be so cool. Like, I'm going to bring my lawn chairs and hang out afterwards, man. So pull up. It would be dope to have anybody who sees this, who hears this, to come and just enjoy getting outside in the nice Texas weather. I think it's gonna be like 75 degrees, man. Yeah. It's gonna be beautiful. So come on out and enjoy the fair, enjoy the festivities. If you got kids, bring your kids. You got family, bring your family. It's gonna be cool. So don't just come for me. Come enjoy things that are going on in the city. But from 3 to 4:30, I'll be right there on 7th and Commerce.
Man, dude, I love that plug voice right there. I used to say on the Six Pack Podcast, talk shit in the comments. I don't say that anymore. Now I just say, stay fit.